Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's intraday analysis video, brought to you by the creators of proprietary price, pattern, and time methodology. Learn the PPT strategies and profit for life. My name is Gareth Soloway. Let's get into the action today on this Monday, November 10th, 2014. Right off the bat, markets are floating to the upside. Today's volume is insanely light. It is after 1 p.m. Eastern Time today, and we have 37.6 million shares traded. Look at the candles recently here. You can barely see them. This is definitely on par for probably the lightest trading day in about 3 to 4 months of time. And again, you could probably see it better if I flip over to the daily chart. Take a look at the candle today. All right, so again, we only have about 2.5 hours till the close, and look at how small that candle is. I mean, that is tiny, folks. And again, you can see it's been light volume the last few days, but today, by far, the lightest of them all. And again, markets have had this monstrous rally, and at this point, it really seems like there's only a few buyers left to buy into the markets, which is why it's such light volume, but there's really no sellers to speak of. No one's fearful. There's no fear in the markets. Its continued kind of bias is neutral to positive as they just float this market up. And again, really one of the most spectacular rallies I have seen in recent history. If you take a look at this, the low here to this high is about 12% move now on the S&P 500. And again, it's not like I've never seen a 12% move in the markets, but it's very rare to see it at the highs of a chart. So, I mean, it's one thing to see it off of the 2009 lows. You have a huge snapback after the markets got decimated. But to see it at these high levels, very, very amazing. Quite astounding, in fact. So that's where we are right now. Markets continue to defy gravity for the time being, as there's this euphoric feeling in the markets that everything will be okay. And I really noticed this euphoric nature get to a crescendo when the Japanese central bank did their stimulus, and now there's this feeling like the European central bank will be doing theirs in January, and everything's going to be all fine, in which case it may. I mean, listen, there's always a chance of that. But right now, again, markets have no volume in them, and the markets continue to just be in float mode, as you can see here. We kind of pulled back into the 20, but the 20 is able to hold the markets up as we float neutral to higher. So again, the only thing that would change my mind about neutral to upside in this market going into the rest of the day, and I'm just talking about an intraday basis here, is if we took out the 50 moving average here on a closing basis on one of these 10-minute candles. You take that out and close down here, then you retest the lows. I mean, if you could somehow get down in this range, then that could be a change in character for this market. But aside from that, there really isn't anything else going on. It's pretty neutral and pretty quiet. Okay? So that's what we have going on right now with the spiders up about 50 cents on the day. And again, it's not a big move. I mean, we're not up $2. We're not up a buck. We're barely up, just up 50 cents or so. But it's more the bias of just the market doesn't have the volume to see selling. And even with oil down today, I mean, I think it's important to mention here, oil opened sharply higher today and has come straight down, is actually coming into a little bit of support down here. And usually we see more selling on the markets as the oil trade comes back in. But we haven't seen that at all. It's been very, very muted here. And again, that's just part of the issue with no volume in the market. People aren't even scared of a dropping oil price anymore in order to sell the markets. They're just willing to hang on and continue to look for the markets to ride up. Now, is that a concerning factor? The fact that there's so much kind of just kind of euphoria and kind of non-believing that the markets will ever come down? Yeah, I mean, it is, but again, you have to have some trigger. Now, when will that trigger occur? That's up in the air. I mean, I don't know, to be honest, off the top of my head. I think it could be involving Russia and Ukraine. That's probably one of the most interesting aspects that's kind of bubbling up again. But again, until it happens, we don't know, and then we need to see how the market reacts to see if it's changing the character of this market from a neutral to upside market to anything different. Okay? All right, so again, oil down today on the day. Nice reversal there. Gold continues to be weaker after a big rally on Friday. Silver SLV here, down only 8 cents. Silver is actually doing a little bit percentage-wise better than you would expect, considering if you look at gold or the oil trade. But again, that makes sense since it has been beaten down more than the others. And again, if you go to the daily chart of silver, it's actually one of my favorites out there in commodity land right now because it's had such a drop from $20.50 to $14.50 or so down here. That's percentage-wise just a humongous move, basically like 40% drop, 35-40%, which again you'd anticipate would get a bounce back at some point, which again I think is very close. I think it probably started on Friday with the snapback. Today's more of a pause day, and probably you see continuation of that trade to the long side tomorrow. All right, a couple other things with oil coming down. The IYT continues to defy gravity. This has been astounding to me, folks. Again, it's one thing to see a small cap index move up drastically, but to see this go from 135 to 162 is unbelievable in terms of percentages for an ETF that tracks the transports. And again, really at this stage of the game, what you're looking at is, look at this. You basically blew right through this. Now, it's very rare you get through this, but in the short term, it just shows the euphoria. So again, if you look at this trend line, pivot point, pivot point, pivot point, pivot point, and today you're above it. Now, a lot of people would look at this and say, oh, it's a breakout, but that's not true. You can't break out of an upsloping trend line. What this tells you is that it's the euphoric nature which can take it above for a little while. Ultimately, it will come back below, but you just don't know how high it's going to go at this point in time. At this point in time, until we see a reversal signal, which again, we don't have. If you zoom in on this chart, right, you had a little bit of a hammer on Friday, but today you're just ripping up. You don't have a topping tail. You don't have a reversal candle or anything like that. Again, we'll just have to see how it takes out. But right now, again, pretty amazing movement on the transports, continuing to move higher. And again, partially that's an oil issue because oil is down again, and that's very, very good for the transports. Obviously, their main input cost is gasoline and oil. All right. JP Morgan Chase today, continuing to move up, but I believe JPM should be short-term into resistance here based on this double top. Now, I think with the markets the way they are, you just are not sure at this point, but based on technicals, based on the years, the decades of trading that I've done, this is no doubt about it major resistance on JPM. And again, I would look for a pullback off of that. All right, Goldman Sachs today continues to grind up, but this has been kind of in a holding pattern recently. One thing I'd like them to note, actually, which is an important point, which I'll leave you guys with today, is see this pattern on the Qs, and this pattern is also on the IWM. So again, IWM sideways consolidation as well as the Qs, and we'll focus on the Qs chart because it's kind of the bigger one. But what you can see right here is bullish consolidation, right? There's no denying that this is bullish consolidation. The one thing you want to be following here is whether or not it breaks out on a time count. And again, basically it has today and it has Tuesday to break out. If it doesn't break out by the end of Tuesday, then I actually would be very, very bearish on the markets. And that's the one thing I would just let you guys know here is that based on time factors, this has basically a day and a half now to break higher. It's trying to today. The Qs are up 30 cents, but it's not able to really push up and break out yet. And again, you can see the highs of these last couple days right here. You pierced it and you kind of backed off. Now, if it can break out tomorrow, then this could continue to grind higher. If it doesn't do it tomorrow, then I would start to get bearish on the Qs, especially the NASDAQ and the IWM, as potentially failed moves on this market. And again, I think that's something we have to pay attention to. Basically, a failed move would be significant because the movement in the opposite direction can be very fast and furious. Okay? All right, so again, that's what I'm looking for there, and I'm following that into tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is Veterans Day. Should be a very quiet day as well, which kind of bodes positively for the upside. We'll keep our eyes on that. Let me just see if there's anything else out there. Facebook today is showing a little weakness. Nice bear pattern on Facebook daily, by the way. That's a really nice bear flag. Really, really nice bearish pattern. Also, if we take a look at Apple today, Apple is trading flat on the day, so the Apple's actually a little weaker than the relative market with the Qs, the NASDAQ higher. NASDAQ's up 12 points right now, and Apple is definitely weaker. I think, again, the top was probably put in last week with that kiss of 110. And again, at this point, you could be considering this a little bearish inside bar action. And then lastly, Alibaba. Now, this is the key on Alibaba. Alibaba is having it had a sell-off earlier and then bounced back to the highs here. This is an insane move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, guys. Alibaba should top out today or tomorrow. All right, based on everything I know, based on proprietary technical signals, this should top out tomorrow. You have a time count. In addition, tomorrow is their Black Friday. It's called Singles Day, and it's their biggest shopping day in China. So my guess is this big rally has been up into that, and you should see distribution occurring today and tomorrow and a top being put in. My guess is a retrace, a sell-off takes you probably down to about 105. 105 right here. See these little tail lows in this gap fill right there. Right in there is going to be where you're going to have major support. But that's still a nice sell-off, man. That's a pretty solid sell-off on it. So again, look for that, folks. We are at the highs of the day on Alibaba right now. And again, that is my belief that you're probably going to put in a top today or tomorrow. All right, guys. Have a great afternoon. Come join us here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. And again, take care, folks. Have a great, great afternoon. And join us at InTheMoneyStocks.com.